first of all, I'd like to say on behalf of myself and Giovanna, thank you very much for putting some faith in us and giving this plugin a whirl. We've really been very excited, obviously, about what we aim to do with this plugin and with any of our other products that we are both working on and those that have been launched already. So today, obviously, the topic is not just marketing. Obviously, marketing is a massive topic, but it's really kind of knuckling down to some of the ways that we're going to encourage people to start sharing some of our content, because primarily, you know, it's one of the main ways now that we can actually start to engage with new prospects, basically get eyeballs on your sites so that people start to learn a bit more about what you're about. And so marketing is pretty much what makes the world go around, because without it we don't sell anything, and it is, after all, what we sell to each other across the globe that really is what, you know, brings the money in. And in the old days when we used to swap chickens for corn, and it was still what made the world go around. So we just do it in different ways now. We exchange cash for the things that we want and like. So let's get stuck in. Obviously that's me at the top there, Leah Butler Smith, and there's Giovanna with one of her little lions. I've got a background in psychology which crosses over brilliantly into marketing, and a lot of the things that I've come to learn about marketing specifically tie into all of the things that I've absolutely loved about human psychology and behaviour, because that's really what my studies were, that's what my work was in behaviour psychology, and actually learning about why people do the things they do. So in marketing, you've got, you know, these huge budgets for the corporate businesses and retailers and so on, and they will spend absolute fortunes on studying and understanding the psychology of what makes a person decide to make a purchase or to walk away. You know, what stops them in their tracks, and how they can actually start to get their attention so that they will buy their services or their products. And that's something that obviously I, you know, pretty much study 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sleep on as well. But because people fascinate me, and why we do the things we do is, I find, incredibly interesting. So there's Giovanna, who's got a background in big cats. So again, if you've been reading any of her emails, or you're familiar with her in any way, then you'll know the reason why Giovanna is called Jojo the cat lady. It's because, or the lion lady rather, is because she, having lived in South Africa for many years, did actually volunteer and work with lots of cats that were being rescued, all different sorts of big cats. So leopards, lions, tigers, pumas, well, you know, you name it. If you can think of another one, she's bound to have been playing with some of them when they're growing up in her care. And Nonna is the name of a white lion that she's particularly fond of, and they're very rare, white lions, and I've seen some really fantastic footage of Giovanna working with this particular lion. And again, they were all rescued and they all needed to be taken care of, and it's an absolute passion of hers. So her dream in the future is to be able to create what she wants to call Nature's Valley, and she wants to you know, rescue lots of animals, particularly the big cat type of animals. And what's really funny is some of the videos that you see going viral on YouTube are exactly the sort of thing that I've seen Giovanna doing with some of the cats that she's played with. The things that people find extraordinary about their behaviour, which is very similar to your cat, if you've got cats in your house, and how you can play with them, and how you actually, you know, come down to their level, and then they're not scared of you, stand up tall, and they are a little bit more nervous, and all that sort of thing. So that's Giovanna's background. And what we've got in common, of course, is, well, something quite boring there with accountancy. We both found ourselves doing that in the course of our working careers. We both love research. We're both quite obsessed with research. So if we ever need to go out and do some research for a new product, we're both very, very happy to join in that topic. We both have a history of working with offline businesses. I myself had a business for many, many years, so I'm a bit older than Giovanna. And so obviously one of the things that I was actually doing originally when I came into internet marketing was studying that for my own offline local business. We've both got an absolute love of design, So we like to, whenever we're working on either just, you know, sales pages or the graphics that we're working on to go with our products, or even the admin or the dashboard of our products, we like to make sure they look as good as they possibly can. So we hope that's something that puts us girls above some of the guys out there who are creating, you know, pretty nifty products as well. But that's something that we like to look at and pay a bit of attention to as well. We've got an interest, both of us, in people and behaviour, albeit that, as I say, Giovanna's might steer slightly towards the four-legged kind. And we both have a love of animals. I've got 3 dogs and 2 cats in my house. So yeah, we've got lots of those little creatures running around. And we both love creating new software because it's just something really exciting about the brainstorming that when it comes to that part of the work we're doing and we've got a new idea for something, and then we start talking about what we can do with it and how it's going to help you know, boost business, because ultimately that's what it's all about. We're not just trying to make pretty things, we're trying to make things that really do make a difference and can impact positively on your business, or if you're working with offline clients, can be something suitable to sell as a service to them. We both enjoy working with WordPress because it's a bit of a saviour, and although both of the plugins we've released so far actually will work on other platforms, it's something that both of us found as a way of introducing ourselves, if you like, to website building and you know, working on sites as I did for a brief period, mainly with people finding out that I can and know how to do that. So of course it's, you know, I'd rather pay you to do it than somebody else. So I don't know if you've ever found yourself in that position, but once you get to grips with WordPress and you can make a really good looking site with some of the fantastic themes and plugins out there, then people who know you are quite likely to start knocking on the door digitally or otherwise and ask you for you know, a new website for a business they're thinking of working on. So it's worth exploiting, and I mean that in the best possible way, because, you know, you really have, if you've learned WordPress, you really have learned something that a lot of people, A, aren't interested in learning, and B, would find very, very complicated. So if you are ever going to offer that as a sideline service, or if it is part of your business, then do make sure you offer that for the right price, because what might only take you a few days to do is still very, very worthwhile for anybody who's actually buying that from you, especially when you've gone out of your way to perhaps come up with you know, you've got buying the best plugins that you can possibly find. You want to make sure that, you know, you add that in as part of the value of what you're actually selling when you build that site and add those plugins in. We both enjoy design combined with psychology. So whilst I might sometimes hand over to Giovanna on the design side of things, and she might hand over to me on the psychology side of things, it's something we both actually really thoroughly enjoy, and, you know, we are both constantly learning about both sides of those two coins. We both like to create products that we believe are unique, so we want to try and find something, you know, a new way of building something that's got a different edge. There's something about it that hasn't been done before, because obviously within the internet marketing space we have seen repeat models, if you like, and there's nothing wrong with that, because, you know, look at how many different kinds of cars there are, and within, you know, one brand of car, say for example an Audi, one of my particular favourites, look at how many different types of Audi there are, and then even within those different types, how many different way, you know, spec you can get. You can get this, that and the other, and knock that off and change the tyres and the wheels and the interior and so on and so on. So we just like to find a way to bring something to market that's new and unique wherever possible. And we both really enjoy solving problems, so that's another thing that we get hearty on. And really enjoy with our Skype chats, which is one of the reasons why I'm suffering with RSI, because when we talk with typing, with keyboards, and that's not always good for you. And we want to make the world a better place for everyone, of course. Why wouldn't you? Just like Miss World, you know, that's got to be in there somewhere. So why did we join forces? Well, we felt that there was something missing in internet marketing. I'm not saying that there aren't, you know, fantastic products out there, because there are, absolutely amazing, and honestly I still believe that the price we get to pay for them is just brilliant, and we are incredibly lucky to be able to pay sometimes $17 for something that really is amazing and a lot of work and effort's gone into. So, but there are still areas of the marketplace that have something missing, and there's also quite a lot of junk. And some unscrupulous product creators. And when you start working in product creation, which if anyone listening is involved in that side of things, then you'll already know that you start to realise that not everybody's in it for the same reason. Sometimes people literally are fast buck merchants and they really don't care very much about their customers. They're not looking at a long-term business. It's a bit of a crash bash wallop type of attitude. And therefore you get a lot of unsatisfied customers. So that's something that we're always working to avoid. We want to make sure that our customers are always as happy as we can possibly make them in every way, shape and form. So that's a big part of our business that we are looking at all the time. And as particularly having come from being customers, as we both were customers and we both were buyers of software for a long time before we started to create our own, we know what it feels like to be on both sides of that fence. So it is a different world once you step over, and you do see things from a completely different perspective. And some of the things that I know myself in the past I wasn't particularly understanding of, slap wrists. In fact, I actually met a marketer not very long ago, and he said, "I remember your name from support." And I was like, "Oh, what did I say? Was I grumbling?" And I think I was at the time, but not too terribly. But, you know, as I say, you don't realise when you're on that side of the fence what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. But certainly anybody who runs any kind of business knows that customers come first, and customer support is absolute priority. But again, we both, Giovanna and I, have been aware that there are some product creators who don't put that in their list of priorities. So we wanted to make sure we did right from the scratch. Also, as I say, in some ways there wasn't really anything new coming out. Rehashed models of the last thing that was, you know, it's a bit like something's just had a new paint job. So it wasn't really a brand new design. It wasn't really a fantastic new something or other. And obviously, you know, there are times when, for example, I've bought two very similar plugins in the past, because the first time I bought the plugin and it was doing, you know, some wonderful new thing and I had to have it. And then another product creator who I already knew very well and trusted had a very similar idea and brought something very similar out. So of course I wanted to have both to see if one would be better than the other. And certainly sometimes therefore there is better support and so on and so on. So, you know, we want to make sure that if we're going to bring something new out, it is actually new. Or if it's something that's already been released, that whatever we do to it is new enough that it's unique. There's something about it that's unique. We both have a very strong desire to change the market expectations, because you know, we talk about the Warrior Forum as if it's the only place on the planet where marketers hang out, and it's not, of course. And especially nowadays with a lot more groups on Facebook that have become incredibly popular, the Warrior Forum isn't the only place to go, but it is just a place where a lot of people have started out, or they've, you know, bumped into in the course of their marketing work, and found other marketers and found a lot of people in a very similar situation. But it just seemed over the years that that environment started to have lower expectations, more unhappy customers, more, what's the word? People just really being, not cynical, that's not the right word, but there just being a lot of unhappiness, and it was the general sort of environment of it, and the energy wasn't as bouncy or as happy as it was originally designed to be. And whilst you can still get an awful lot of help and an awful lot of support, there is just that kind of element or that energy there that isn't necessarily, it's not the right energy or the right sort of attitude, if you like, to take with you into a brand new business. And brand new businesses need to be, because we are all, after all, pretty much startups. We're all startup businesses, startup companies. Unless you've been around the block for a few years and you already are an established business, a lot of people who come into internet marketing do so because they want to do something different with their lives and they want to see a change. So we want to encourage that change in the market expectations so that you don't end up with this tiny little niche bubble of internet marketers who are considered to be a grumpy lot, because they're not at all. We have a desire to learn what's really needed, and to really, as I say, focus in on what it is that customers want, why they want it, and how we can go about helping to create that, what we can do to bring that about. We want to bring more high-end into internet marketing. So, as I say, we want to spruce things up a little bit, do things a little bit differently, because things get stayed. You know that word stayed, it's all starting to get very, very similar. And every now and then somebody will suddenly shift, and everybody will start to move towards that new shift in behaviour. So when dime sales, I can remember when dime sales suddenly started on the Warrior Forum as WSOs, and that was so new and so innovative, and it was brought about by a few marketers who'd been researching the psychology of influence, predominantly through Robert Cialdini's research as a social scientist. And his social scientist research is really fascinating. If you've not read Robert Cialdini, I strongly recommend as a marketer that you actually invest in that book and take a look at what his findings are. And there's a new book now called Yes, which is also by the same group of people, including Robert Cialdini, and it's just written in a slightly different way, but it's actually highlighting the findings of what it is, as I say, that will influence people into making decisions. So a lot of it crosses over into marketing, and you'll see it both in all social environments, social setting environments, and you'll see it in all different forms of marketing. So what the marketers discovered was when you introduce scarcity into a sales page, a new launch, then people are more inclined to actually get their wallets out and start spending. So the dime sale was how that was translated. So if you don't hurry up and buy it now, the price is going up. And the next time you come back to the sales page, you're going to have to pay more money. And of course, nobody ever wants to pay more money. So that was the reason why that was introduced. So as I say, every now and then you'll see new things starting to appear. And Giovanna and I have high expectations of ourselves. And we hope that you'll see some of those new changes coming from us in the future. We're looking to create environments that are, ready for improvement or are improving. And we want to maintain, of course, and improve all of our own products. So right from the off, we look to our customers to tell us what they think we can do to improve, and we're working very, very hard. We've had developers on holiday, which obviously is to be expected at this time of year. But working around those, then definitely that's what we're doing. Both of us want to continue learning, because I believe you never stop. As long as you're living and breathing, there isn't a day goes by when you're not learning something. And if it's around your business, then all the good to that. And of course, we want to make the world a better place. So why did we create PulseHover? Well, because obviously getting traffic to your sites is getting harder, and social sharing presents an excellent opportunity, but most social sharing plugins cause icon blindness. So that's something, again, marketers talk about quite a lot, is the banner blindness. You've probably heard ad blindness, and we used icon blindness. And it's basically talking about when your customers, the people out there in the world who aren't marketers, who are not in internet marketing space, who aren't talking about this sort of thing every day, will become more and more familiar with what they see on websites the more they see it. And therefore, after a time, they reach a point where they just don't see things anymore, and it doesn't have the same effect. So people stop seeing sharing requests. Images that are shared more than any other content is what we really focused our attention on when we began looking at building PulseHover. And getting people's attention required some clever thinking and some high-end design. That's where we released our designer selves, our designer egos. And of course, Google is not doing what it used to do. This is just an example of how a typical local restaurant search is going to look. And as you can see, a lot of what's above the fold are Google products. So where we used to rely, because I've studied SEO for a long, long time, well over 10 years, which makes me sound really old in internet marketing. But it's because of my original business, and I needed to be able to get my website found as the yellow pages that used to be the very typical advertising medium stopped being as popular. And the more the internet grew and developed, the less those, physical advertising mediums were effective. So I have been studying it for a very, very long time from every different angle, and I've seen all the changes that have gone on in Google. And as I say, what you can see now is that it's increasingly more difficult because, of course, Google is a business. So Google's going to make sure it finds a way for everybody to be using its products as much as is possible. And that just make it a lot more difficult for people to use SEO in the way that they used to be able to. So that's why we wanted to look for alternative ways to get your message out there, if you like. So marketing strategies are relying so much more on social sharing, and these are a bunch of icons that we've got in our additional graphics pack. Lots and lots of different colours and shapes and designs to fit anybody's niche. And actually, whilst I'm talking to you, we've actually made it so that the plugin will now allow you to choose one or other, because we actually had a customer who said, I just want Facebook. He only wants people to share his images on Facebook. He wants them to share his content on Facebook, and that's what he wanted to focus on. So we just got the developer to work on being able to section or segment the social icons that you choose to use and pick and choose those. So that's already done, and we'll be sending out the updates as soon as the next thing has been resolved too. So what we're looking at here now on the screen in front of you is what we share. And this is very kindly provided by Social Bakers, a very popular website if you want to know some statistics and things. And as you can see, of course, photos average out at 70% of sharing on Facebook, which is a great deal more than videos, statuses or links. And when you think about it, I mean, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. It is a bit like The Office, if you like. My family often think I'm Skyping, which you might get that yourselves. You're on Facebook again. And I'm like, no, it's my work. This is what I do. And it genuinely is. It's an office. And that's why we, us marketers, really are an absolute hub of knowledge when it comes to marketing across the globe. And there are companies who do literally watch what us, our internet marketing bunch, are actually up to, what we're doing and why we're doing it, because they get a lot of clues about how people respond, again, human behaviour. So as I say, 70% of what is shared and what you'll see shared in any newsfeed is going to be photos. So we knew that people are more inclined to share a photo. If they see a photo on your website, they're more inclined to pick that as something they want to actually link to. They want to share that link on Facebook. They want other people to see that they've, seen it, read it, looked at it, something about it has attracted their attention. So whereas they might scroll down a page and not pay as much attention to the content, even if it's been very good quality content, they are more likely to take notice of the image. And again, looking at what goes viral, because what goes viral and what is shared are two different things. So people share stuff, and other people who see it will pay attention to it, might click on it, might go and there's no way at the moment of actually really telling how many people are clicking on what you're sharing. But Facebook knows, and that's where this information comes from. But what goes viral is, again, photos. So 93% of images are, 93% of what goes viral is images. So again, these are all statistics that kind of backed up why we felt it was really important to find a way to focus on an image on your website, because we're aware that that's how psychologically people are, they're attracted to and they take more notice of. So the steps to successful marketing in your business, and why it's really important to take these steps in order when it comes to even, what we're focusing on really is using PulseHover. We're focusing on how to use images in a particular way so that people are going to be inclined to want to share them. So the first thing we recommend is focusing on your niche and what your niche actually is. Really getting into the nitty gritty of what it is about that niche that there are needs, that there are desires, that there are problems and solutions that you can target and focus on, and really think about all of the different emotions that actually trigger people's response. So who are your customers? Who is your customer? And I don't know how much you've ever read about something that deeply affects marketer success or marketing success, because there are marketers out there who actually get paid a huge budget, enormous amounts of money. You know, there are companies whose budgets are ridiculous when it comes to marketing, because those little tweaks in the packaging or the wording on their products can make a huge, vast difference. Even if it's a 0.1%, that 0.1% when it comes to global sales can be, you know, millions. So they spend millions to make sure that they know their customers. And I read a local girl actually who's one of the dragons from Dragon's Den in the UK, which is where I believe it started. And so if you're familiar with Dragon's Den, it's called, what's it called? Something else in America. What is it called? I can't think now. Oh, it'll spring to mind soon. Probably as soon as I switch off, it'll come to mind. Anyway, that same thing where they've got a group of entrepreneurs, millionaire entrepreneurs, who are going to invest money in startup businesses, so brand new businesses, and people come along and present their business ideas, and they Shark Tank, that's it, I knew it was going to come to me. If I stop thinking, it will come. So Shark Tank in the US, and it's also, I think, called Dragon's Den in Australia and New Zealand. And so this lady was the first lady, her name's Rachel, and she's the first lady on Dragon's Den. And she was responsible for Red Letter Days. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's the business that comes up with, offering a ticket, £70 or $130 or something, to take your partner on a balloon ride, or to fly in an aeroplane, or a small aircraft that is, or to go on a racetrack for the day. And her story is of how she came up with this idea because she was trying to think of something interesting for her dad for his birthday, and she realised that it was very, very difficult to come up with a sort of a day or a day out for somebody, as a gift. And she thought, well, that's a jolly good idea. And that's how simple ideas can turn into multi-million pound or dollar businesses, is because it's something that you realise hasn't been done before. It's a need. There is a genuine need, and there was a genuine need for people to have that opportunity where they could just literally buy something and then present this fantastic gift, already packaged, already set up for somebody that they care about. And so what she said she did was she started up the business and she got some investment, and it was, trotting along okay, but it wasn't doing terribly well. And so she met a mentor, somebody who she had a lot of faith in, and the first thing her mentor did was point out that she had no customer avatar. So I don't know if you're familiar with that word, but the word avatar in our business, in any kind of marketing business, is the representation of the person who is your ideal customer, if you like. They're not blue, tall and have tails like you might have seen on the TV. Brilliant film, that. But they are a representation of, as I say, your perfect or your ideal customer. And it really makes a difference to your business to work out what your customer avatar is. And sometimes we'll create, a man and a woman, so that we've got an idea of both, give them a name, and work out what their profile is. Who are they? How much money do they have? Do they take holidays? What are their needs? What are their likes? What solutions do they need in their lives? And then you start talking in all of your marketing, whether it's blog writing or newsletters, emails, or anything you're doing, you write to that person. So instead of trying to fulfill lots and lots and lots of different people's likes, wants, desires, needs, etc., you focus on just one person. And what Rachel described in her business was that is what catapulted it to immediate success. The rise in their sales was enormous. As soon as they started to target all their graphic design, their logo, their print work, all the text, all of the wording for everything that they put together was all focused on that one person. And they knew what kind of car they drove, and they knew what their name was, they knew what sort of social life they had, and they really did build a very, very strong picture of what their customer avatar was. And because obviously they needed to know what type of person had that kind of loose change, if you like, for spending, upwards of £70 or, $100 on a gift for people. And it would be someone with a particular type of income and a particular type of lifestyle and a particular set of friends and so on. And as I say, so as soon as their marketing was all targeting that particular ideal person, it made extraordinary difference. So it's a very, very common thing that marketers do, and if you're not already doing it, then I strongly recommend that you do. And you can get all sorts of research and information from things like Alexa. In fact, you can get tons of information from Alexa, and you can also get a lot of information from Facebook itself. So really worth looking into that and find out who your ideal customer is. And then, of course, what you want to do when we come back to using PulseHover, to adding media to your blog, your websites, is to get emotional. So when I say get emotional, I'm not just talking about, let's make everyone cry. I'm talking about every emotion. Sentimentality, being proud, seeing something that's funny, a way of connecting with other people, even showing off, being inspired, and something that we think is clever. Those are just some examples of emotions that you want to trigger, you want to tap into when you're using your images. So whether it's text on image or just the image itself, those are the things to really focus on with the emotion. And that's why quotes are really good, because quotes can be any of those things. They can sometimes trigger sentimentality, sometimes they're incredibly inspiring, sometimes they're just so clever we're overwhelmed, sometimes they're funny, and sometimes it's a way to connect with other people. You'll see people actually tag others in, sometimes when they're sharing images on Facebook. So you want to be emotional. So I've got a few examples here of what I mean. So customer emotions. So images, obviously, they speak to the person who's viewing them. They elicit emotions, and people respond based on how they feel about that. So the image that I've got there is you could say it's quite funny, and I've added a bit of text, which is in effect an instruction, smile. Or am I describing the picture? That is a smile, So either way, I've added a word there that can make a difference. But let's say if we were actually wanting, if let's say it was a local business and you were working for Dr. Whiteteeth, and he wanted you to add some images to his blog, then what you want to start thinking about is what encourages that, what triggers that, what anchors are fired off by the use of that particular image, and what text you're using. So people will share images when they are showing something about themselves, and people share because they can associate with the image. There's something about the image that brings an emotion out in themselves, or a familiarity in themselves. And you want to make sure you use the correct language in your call to action. So I've actually shown there, an example of using a call to action: share if you have great teeth. And of course, what that's actually got there, if it was a local business you were targeting, is an opportunity to actually put the practice address at the bottom there. But you see, a person who would be more inclined to share that if they've got great teeth, which is a way of saying, look, I've got great teeth. So that's an example of when somebody wants to show something about themselves. They want to connect and associate with that image. And a restaurant is another example. People like other people to know that they can afford a luxury lifestyle. So if you provide them with an easy way to show their others, whoever their others are going to be, that will be all their friends and family on their Facebook feed or on their Pinterest or wherever it might be, you can give them the opportunity to show something about themselves. Because, as in this example, I'm so classic fine dining, as me trying to be really funny there. But the call to action, or the trigger there, is I vote this my favourite restaurant. So if that restaurant locally were known to be, or even like in England, the Ivy is known to be a very, you know, posh, upmarket restaurant. You've got to have a few quid if you're going to go there. So if I were to share the Ivy's image, it would be because I want other people to know, look at me, I've been to the Ivy, you know, I frequent the Ivy. Particularly if you put something like, I vote this my favourite restaurant, it would suggest that it's somewhere you've been more than once. So giving people a way to actually do that, to actually say, I'm going to tell other people something about myself, my lifestyle, in the images that you're actually using, you know, not just for local offline businesses, for any type of business. If you're an affiliate marketer and you're using, you know, weight loss as an example, then having an image that says something about, you know, my goal is to lose 10 pounds this month, or something along those lines, with a really fantastic picture of them eating very healthily, or I feed my family healthy food, or you know, something that people are going to want to feel proud of by sharing to others. People won't share images that say something negative about themselves. They will share images that say something positive about themselves, because we've all got an ego. So here's another example, giving customers an invitation to share. If you were to give a customer a stylish example of an image that they can share, so that image there would be shared with friends, you know, it's underground. That also, you know, brings out the exclusivity. It's rare, it's secret, it's underground, it's new, it's chic, it's all those really lovely things that people who have got that type of ego, which is all of us, will be encouraged to share with those people that are, you know, they're inviting to this particular event. So again, it would be, you see marketers do this, don't tell too many people about this, but really they want you to share it everywhere. But they're making a suggestion that there's only a small amount of people you know, allowed to see this. Only the first 500 people can actually get on the webinar. Only the first 200 people can actually buy this product because it's exclusive. So, you know, whenever you're inviting people to actually participate in something, and you give them the opportunity to make this, you know, posh, if you like, suggestion about themselves, what they're in turn doing is they're making someone else feel good, because look, I've given you this, I'm inviting you, because you're so special, to this exclusive Be Cool Club special birthday party. So it's a way of actually inviting other people by letting them know, I think you're special and cool as well, so I'm inviting you. I'm giving you the nudge and the wink to let you know that this do's going on. So these are all, again, in any niche, whatever the niche is, not just local businesses, but in any niche at all, just thinking up ways to actually make something appear really exclusive, something about it's really special, and it's, you know, quite secret, and there's only a few. Because whenever, that's the scarcity side of things, when that comes out, people start to be motivated to do something. So here's another example of, it's again saying something about themselves, but also carrying the brand with it. So whether the brand is your website and your products and services that you're actually selling, or whether it's something that on, you know, the site that you're going to encourage people to actually connect with, that has a brand message in it because it's got a connection to you, then, as I say, there you are, there's an example. This is my next car. So the Corvette is going to be that person's next car, and you've created the image that people who have seen that will want to share, but they're actually advertising classactvehicles.com. You know, they're advertising that particular brand, that organisation, that company, because you're encouraging them, you're giving them an example of something that they can actually tell other people about. Now, they may never be able to afford the car, the service. It could be, you know, having a fantastic 2-hour massage, being pampered, or in a, you know, lovely spa. And, you know, this is where I'm going next Saturday could be the message. And then, of course, make sure you add the name of the organisation, the company or the service provider at the bottom there. So expanding that, and if we're talking about affiliate marketing or Amazon marketing or Kindle, then again these things cross over into those niches too. It's just about thinking about what kind of message you can add to an image. It's actually going to do that for you. And then there's these other opportunities. So when something just lends itself to being used because you can make a point. So there's a bit of a story to the picture. So as you can see, there's a picture here of a lot of people on those funny little motorised scooter things. I know they've got a proper name, but I can't think what it is. And so I've taken the opportunity there to make a bit of a joke and you know, present it as if it were a gym, bodyhealthgym.com. And a right term coming up is obviously the text that I've added there and saying, you know, it's not quite a walk in the park. If you want to remember how to use your legs and stay healthy, call us. So in that respect, you're actually sending a positive message. You're actually giving people a reason to chuckle, that, you know, they're being a bit funny about it. And again, they've got another reason to want to share it with other people. That's one of those sort of Trojan horse type of stories, because there's a picture there that was never really intended to be a joke for your advertisement, but you actually add the text to it, and you can do that in so many different ways. There's so many different software programs where you can, in fact Pixlr, I think it's pixlr.com, is a free one. I actually use Skitch because I'm on a Mac, and that's completely free. But also you can make these on PowerPoint, or you can make them on Keynote. Just so you just pull the image in and then just add the text, screenshot the whole thing, and then that's your image ready to upload. Ever so easy. So there's lots of different ways to actually come up with these additional funny things. And of course you might have some of those softwares out there that create memes, in which case you've got all the tools you need to add text to your images as well. So you can also use the news. Now, if you're using the news, of course, we all know that that's something that's more likely to get shared. I was actually checking out some of the most shared images of all time, and there was a lot of the president's campaign. And obviously that's because for a lot of people there's going to be a lot of celebration. I know there'll be a lot of people who wouldn't have been celebrating, but there's equally going to be lots of very, very happy people really celebrating. And so that's something that affects millions and millions of people, and therefore it's much more likely to go viral, much more likely to be shared. So if you can jump on that bandwagon, as they say, take advantage of current events. I literally posted this on Facebook the minute that I took those pictures off the television screen, and then just came up with something funny. So that's Andy Murray finally winning Wimbledon, and I thought it was quite funny because of course the guy he was playing against, Novak, was Serbian, Jovana's Serbian, and Andy Murray of course is in the UK, so I thought that was quite amusing. And that was just an opportunity to use the news, but again in another way, if you're creating a blog post and you've got a blog title with that news in, and you add a variety of text on there, then it's more likely, if Google's playing the right game and your site's actually being found, that you'll actually get ranked for it anyway. So it's always a good idea to use things like that. But if you're going to take advantage of the news, then just bung an image on there that says something, speaks to people in an emotional way. Add your hover, make sure you add your hover, and then of course that's going to get more attention. So talking about the hover and what it's actually doing, what it's all about, and mentioning earlier, as I did, and if you read the sales page, you'll know that it's all about the pattern interrupt, and the pattern interrupt being a very, very important psychological, it's not a trick, it's just basic psychology. And as marketers, we find ways to interrupt people's patterns, and supermarkets do it all the time, with putting things in different places and signs in different places. And it was recently on Facebook, there was a picture of someone who'd a supermarket who'd actually added a balloon. So they literally added a balloon next to an aisle that had a particular offer on, and that was just a pattern interrupt, because you wouldn't normally walk down the aisle and see a balloon advertising something. It's just not the norm, if you like. So pattern interrupts is what Pulse Hover is all about. We want to engage people's attention and catch their attention by catching their eye, and then, of course, so for example, if you've got you're advertising the PDF, that's the PDF we gave away before launch, Simple Social Sharing Secrets, and then of course you have your hover, that will come down over that with your call to action. So that's the other really important part of PulseHover that needs to be taken on board, is not only do you get to choose your background, so the background in itself can have its own use, how dark or light you choose to make it, so the opacity, whether you want it to still show the image beneath or you want to obscure the image beneath, and all of that really depends on, again, the niche. It depends on the niche and the message you're firing off, because that's what you want to do. As the person's floating down the page and they cover over your image, you want to pick the right background, and you want to pick the right opacity for the background, and then you want to pick the right button. So the button should be whatever you're telling them to do. Now remember, that download here button could in fact be redirecting them to a sales page. So we've done that on our site since we've been using PulseHover. We use that to, people are looking at one of our reviews, and actually we will send them directly to the sales page that we can either use buy it now, buy with bonus, or download here, because either way that's what we're encouraging them to do. And in a way, sometimes when you put download here, you actually bypass the critical thinking, which is the frontal cortex. Yes, I know, getting into deep psychology now. But that's the part of the brain that people are using when they're thinking. And when they're thinking, they have to think, do I want to buy this? And then they'll start wondering if they've got the money or if it's right to buy it. And, more of that thinking is actually delaying them doing what you want them to do. You want to interrupt all of that and get them to go and do it straight away. So sometimes, depending on what it is you want to direct them to, it's actually a better idea to say download it here or download now rather than buy it now. Because if you say buy it now, they've got to think about what buying it means. If you say download, they're actually already feeling like they've got it. So that's just one of my little tips. So call to action are very, very important. Download, buy now, sign up. All the different calls to action that you can actually use when you're using PulseHover, and you want to really think about those in your work. I didn't mean to scooch past that last page. Got trigger happy with the finger. But that's what you want to do. You want to really, every single element on PulseHover can be thought about and decide what's most useful, what's best, how much opacity, as I say, how much image you want to show through, how much you want, perhaps you just want to get rid of that image altogether because that attracted their attention and now you want them to just take action. So if it is an affiliate marketing site and you are actually offering them the best possible camera on Amazon, you really want them to just go and buy it now. Get the best price here at Amazon, or check out the other images, or whatever your button's actually going to be telling them to do. You want them to do that and you want to do it quick. If you're asking them to share it, then maybe you'll allow some of the image to still show through because you want them to remember that that's really what they're doing. They're actually sharing the picture. So you want them to still see the picture that they're about to share and then give them the social icon images so that they can actually go ahead and do that. And of course you've got the option to use banners and so on. So you want to think about what it is that each image's job actually is, and then work out what's the right button to use, what's the right background, what's the right opacity, and then set it all up from there. Now, one of the things that Joanna asked me to mention is not overdoing it, because obviously we can all go a bit too mad. And as we've already discussed there, the pattern interrupt. The important thing about a pattern interrupt's effectiveness is that it's rare, and you don't see it very often, or you don't expect to see it. So if you've got 5 images on a page, unless there's a very particular rational reason for having PulseHover on every single one of them, it's probably a good idea to just have it on 1 or 2 of those images, because otherwise the pattern interrupt is going to be obscured because it's been overdone. So on some sites, again, always depending on your niche, if for example you're selling images, or each image is of a product, then each one will have its own hover and each one will have its own redirect. So of course that would be a completely different way of using it. But otherwise it's a good idea not to overdo it too much. So now we have the opportunity for your Q&A. So I've just got to wake up my PC because I've been filming and presenting on the Mac, and now I can actually see what you're all saying. Still trying to open up this little box here, make it actually Keith's agreeing with me, less is more. It is indeed. Click to continue works well. Oh, thank you very much, Keith, for that. Yes, that's a good one. Click to continue. Do I smell popcorn? I probably should have read that when you said it. Segue. Well, let's see. Well targeted and very clear. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, check out Dawn French. I adore Dawn French's Facebook page. What a fantastic job the social marketers are who are doing that, because I'm pretty sure it's not Dawn herself. So, no, I absolutely love that. Let me see. Unlock the page. Psychographics of ideal clients. Yes, indeed. Demographics and the psychographics, Keith. Thank you very much. Yes. Have to go back to the meeting. Shark Tank. Thanks, Bert. Another one, Shark Tank. Shark Tank, yes. And someone else was asking, am I recording? It does not say recording. No, it won't say I'm recording on GoToWebinar, because GoToWebinar is a bit of a pain at times when you're recording. So I'm recording it on Camtasia on my Mac. And Brian lost the sound, but that was a while ago. Did I fold the presets? Just upgraded to the new upgrade button. I wish I could make this thing a bit bigger. Anybody here use GoToWebinar very often? I didn't have this problem opening up that particular part of the screen last time. I'll scroll back down again. I just scrolled up. Give Hangouts on Air way better. Yeah, I know. Yes, because we do rather like Walt's plugin actually that does that, and we haven't quite got round to playing with it. Down the rounded. This silly thing went open up. Hover over the edge. Oh, you're telling me what to do. Oh gosh. Wake up, Leah. Yes, I am sort of doing that, because normally you get one of those nice little things that allows you to just expand it, and I'm not getting that anywhere except widthways. I can get it widthways, but it won't allow me to do it. No, really, really annoying. I shall be having words with GoToWebinar after this. Down by the rounded corner. Ah. Oh, you gem. Got it. Thank you, Andrew. That's really handy. Now I know. Hello, will this be recorded? Yes, Charles, it is recorded. Hello from AZ. Andrew Gatwick in London. Ooh. Are you flying out or flying in? Oh, look, I'm right at the top. Go down on the bottom. 2 miles from Gatwick. So, does anybody have any psychological questions about PulseHover, or anything to do with marketing for that matter? Can I random change the PulseHover message for various Flickr images? That's interesting. Auto-downloading an image from Flickr, each auto-post. I don't think that is possible at the moment, but it's certainly something we could add to the feature ideas. I think that's definitely something that would have to be checked on your site to look at with software, because that's another one of the things that I've learned an awful lot about since being on this side of the old software creation, is talking to developers and how they think and how they do what they do. And every now and then, if someone's got a problem, they can literally take a look at their site. They can, you know, use spy software and stuff, and they can find out what other plugins you've got, what sort of theme you're using, and they can sometimes see immediately what the problem might be. But a lot of the times they actually need to see how other software works with our software, and that's what they probably would need, I reckon, to determine that. So Bill, what's the best way to develop your avatar? Well, that does require a little bit of effort. In my opinion, it's one of the best ways you can spend a few hours of your time. If you go to Alexa and, oh no, okay, so the first thing you want to do is you actually think about what your niche is. So let's say your niche is fishing. And then what you do is you think of some very common search phrases for fishing, and then just put those into Google and collect the URLs of a few sites. You know, preferably like top 3, top 5. Grab all of those, bung them in a maybe a spreadsheet or a notepad or something, and then take them over to Alexa and actually start to put the URL of the niche sites that are coming up in the ranking into Alexa. And then what you'll start to see in Alexa is lots and lots of information about the type of people who actually visit that site. You even get age groups and all sorts of information. It really is so valuable. And then you can just start to try. I mean, obviously, if you're talking about fishing, immediately you're going to assume that, well, as I would, a large number of the people who are interested in fishing would be men, quite probably. The demographic for the Warrior Forum, for example, is men between the ages of 45 and 64. I think, and it's easy to find all that information out. Just put Warrior Forum's URL into Alexa and it will tell you. But the more information, obviously, from the more, if you pick a few very, very important search phrases and then just put all of those into search and actually get those URLs, the kinds of things that you know your customers are actually looking for. So perhaps if you're already running a reasonably successful site and you're getting traffic, then use your own Google Analytics search phrases, take those search phrases, pop them into Google search, grab those top 3 to 5 websites, take those URLs, put them into Alexa, and then grab all of the demographic information. And from that you should get a really fantastic picture of the type of personality, the type of person, the, you know, sex of the person, the age of the person, even their financial information can be gathered through doing these various searches, and then give them a name. You know, decide what their name is, decide if they've got any kids, decide what kind of car they drive, based on all of the information that you've actually got, you know, using those statistics. And then that, you know, in your head you can start actually talking to them. You can actually start putting yourself in the shoes of your customer avatar and thinking from their side of things, what is it they need to see when they arrive on your website? What is it they're looking for? What are their problems? What solutions are you actually offering them? Because that's what's going to hit them between the eyes when they arrive there, is, oh wow, you've got the very thing I need. So that's really, really important. It's something that took me a long while to really understand, but as soon as I did, I you know, that's been a big part of my business. And yes, go and talk to your customers. Absolutely, talk to your customers. If there's any way of actually communicating with them direct, then yeah, absolutely, go and talk to each person, or, you know, send them a questionnaire and actually get as much information from them as you possibly can. So Jay, oh hello Jay, hi Jay, I'm waving. So Jay's just saying he's got to drive the kids. Oh, well, you can watch it later, Jay. And Peter says, good tips, thank you. Erica, so you wanted me to show you how to use PulseHover. And did you use... I tell you what, Faye, Erica, if there's a particular video that we're missing in our tutorials, then please do let me know, because that's what you're saying. You're saying that you thought we were going to be just literally looking at Pulse Hover and looking at how to use it, and obviously the tutorial video should cover that. So if we've missed anything and it's not clear in any way, then please do let us know and we'll make sure we get another one of those videos sorted out for you. And Bill, so you're saying, do you talk to the avatar from the standpoint of a peer or a teacher or a coach? Okay, can you give me a niche example? Because that is actually going to depend on what type of site you're actually building. Because if you're building, yes I am in Chelmsford. Hello, are you near Chelmsford? Right, let me go back to Bill's question. Musicianship. Ah, okay. So, musicians. Is your website actually designed to teach people about being a musician, or are you selling music or music coaching? Well, once again, I'd put myself teaching, okay, so then you're definitely going to be coming from a position of being a teacher and a coach. That's your authority standpoint. Because, and also, you know, from a position of being a peer, because you were in their shoes once before as well. You know, there was a time when you didn't know how to play the musical instruments that you're, you know, going on to teach people how to use. So you can, through your writing, actually talk to them about that, because it's important that they know you know, people in authority positions on websites can sometimes get a bit arrogant, and they can come across as being arrogant. And there's two main types of authority site. One is, you know, here I am, look, I know. So, for example, if I did a website and it was about marketing psychology, then I'd be speaking from the position of being a professional. But if I was doing a website about musicianship, I might collect information and interview people like you, Bill, and ask you and various other, you know, great musicians all sorts of questions, and then I might gather all the information together and I'd put that on my website. And so my authority would be from the position of actually being an interviewer as opposed to being the professional. So you're the professional, and in that situation, you want to be able to answer the problems that they're having. So that's the position you put yourself in from the first place, is to look through their eyes, think about what they have a problem with. So what's their first problem? And then just, you know, write down what those problems are, and then look at what solutions each of your products or services is actually providing them with. So you talk to them and you talk to their problem first, because that's the first way to actually engage people's attention, is to actually say, I hear you, I understand you, I know you have this problem, and I have this solution. So in sales copy, you'll see that done a lot. The headline will actually be calling out the people who've got the problem, and then the sub-headlines will actually start to offer them a variety of solutions. Oh, Erica, sorry. I can see where you've got confused now. I'm sorry about that. So Erica's just saying that she got the message to attend the webinar for some additional training, and hadn't realised therefore that there were some additional tutorials. And there are, Erica, there are. If you go to your download page, which you should be able to get through to directly from your JVZoo receipt, so through that login that JVZoo send you, and then you'll get through to your download page, and on the download page there's some, in the sidebar, on the left hand sidebar, there's all the video tutorials. I think, actually, I'm just trying to remember from memory, you might get one of the tutorial videos on that page and then you click on another button, but it's all, once you look and you see there, download the plugin, and then I think it's underneath that will be the installation video, and then subsequent to that there's all the tutorial videos. But if you have any other problems, just email me and I'll make sure I get that link to you. So, bond your M%20D bond. I don't know if that's your keyboard or my machine. Yeah, it is, because a few people have got percentages for their first names. So, yeah, let's come back to what is their biggest frustration? Yes, you are their saviour, absolutely. You can be in the position of being able to save them all that terrible frustration that they're suffering with. Yes, in your case, Bill, indeed, you position yourself as a professional to connect with their current situation with your own experience, because you know what that feels like to have been, a bit lost, really. You don't know how to strum the guitar, how to play the keyboard or whatever it is you're teaching them. And obviously each person has this desire, they've got a goal in their mind, especially with something like hobbies, because playing musical instruments for a lot of people is a hobby. But they have a strong desire to be at the end. They already want to be where they're at, and that's this, actually, to be honest with you, that's everything in life. People who want to lose weight want to already be thin. People who want their website ranked want it already ranked. And people who want to play a musical instrument want already to be able to play the musical instrument. So you join them where they're at, which is at the beginning of that journey, and you keep reminding them what it feels like when they get to the end, because that keeps them motivated, it keeps them interested, and it keeps them coming back. And that's one of the biggest battles that any service provider in internet marketing actually has, is everybody wants their website on page 1 after 2 minutes. And we know that that's absolutely impossible, and it takes a good long time for people to actually get their website in that sort of position. But that's something that, obviously our aim with PulseHover is to make that more possible. To get more people sharing your content on your sites and bringing new traffic and new prospects onto your website through that medium, and finding everything that you've got to say thoroughly interesting and fascinating. So who's got any more questions? Just going to scroll. So what do you do, M20 Bond? Aha. Okay, so Stanley, you're talking about building the avatar again. Not sure where they would be searching and how you can get in front of them. How do people search when they've lost their home through foreclosure and they want back into ownership? Well, in a way, your question is the very type of question that somebody who's in that position is going to ask. They're actually going to ask, most people when they go into Google don't just put a word in, they put a question. And they are asking for something. Google is the person that they're asking the question of. It's just the same as going into the library and saying, I'm looking for the best book you've got on cooking fish. And the librarian would have pointed them into the direction of the best cookery book that they, or the cookery book section where cooking fish is concerned. And that's exactly what your customers are looking for when they go online. They're always going to ask a question of Google about, anticipating that the answer is going to arrive. So whatever website has those questions weaved into their content is going to be the websites that appear first. So building the avatar of somebody who's actually in that position, well, they've lost their home through foreclosure, so they're going to be pretty unhappy. But if they're looking for a way back into ownership, then there must be something positive starting to happen in their life. So things are starting to change. And you would do the same thing as I've mentioned before. What you would do is you'll take that question, post-foreclosure, I'm just trying to think, what would I write? I lost my home through foreclosure and now I want a mortgage. How do I get one? I'd actually, literally what I'm thinking is what I'm going to ask Google, and I type that into Google, and then I'd look at whatever websites come up first. So in your case, you then go to those first 3 to 5 websites from that particular question, and then you would actually take the URLs and take each one of them to Alexa and pop them into Alexa and find out as much information as you can from Alexa, and then take notes on all of that sort of thing. Because I'd say there's probably not, I think if you, just from, thinking logically about it, probably a lot of people who are in that position are going to be late 30s, I reckon, a mid to late 30s going into their 50s, because after their 50s they're probably not going to be as keen to start, or maybe not even in a sort of position to be able to start remortgaging a house. So it's more likely to be that bracket of age that will be looking, but you will find that information when you look in Alexa. There are other places as well, and I'll hunt some of those out and bung them in an email for you. And you're welcome, Erica. And so are you, Stanley. Any more questions? Anything you like? What is my email? Well, you can get me and Giovanna through support, or you can just email support, which is support@marketinggene.com. And that's marketinggene.com. So we lost one of the G's in the marketing gene. Aha, so Martin. Yeah, I know, that's very strange. Seems like GoToWebinar just wants to convert your name into figures. So you're in property, developing and enhancing online marketing skills in support of the same. So you're buying or selling property. Vanilla or strawberry? Me, I like vanilla. Thank you, Stanley. Is it possible to use a connect button with Pulse Hover? Yes, you can use any button you like, any button at all. If you haven't got them already installed in the default, because obviously we put some default banners, buttons and backgrounds, and if you've got any of your own, then you can install those, you can upload those. And also, of course, in the funnel we actually provided a big old bundle of all of those for anybody who's interested in getting ours, with lots more buttons. And there's some buttons in there actually that are the type you can, if you've got any kind of tech skills where it comes to graphics, then you can adjust the text on them and put any text you like. Thank you very much, Laurie, for saying I've given a super presentation. My ego is very happy. Yes, Laurie, it is recorded. Did we use lead pages to do GoToWebinar registration? Then first name not always recorded. Oh, right, Charles. Thanks for that. That's interesting. Thank you, Johanna. And thank you very much, Cecilia. Do you have to create a preset for everything? Yes, you do. You're welcome, Laurie. Do indeed. And if you're in the Facebook group, by the way, you can ask any questions in there, and just hyperlink my name and I'll get back to you if it's a, psych question you've got. And thank you, Macmillan, with a funny percentage name. Brad, what I'll do is I'm going to put it on our Marketing Gene site and I'll email you. I'll email you, and I'll also, have a good old rummage around and see if I can find any other information about the best places to get that demographic and so on info for your avatar. Bill, thanks. Bill says, as a psychologist, you have given insight to the customer avatar that I've not heard from others before. Well, thank you very much. That's what comes from poking around in people's unconscious minds for 15 years. You learn a lot about how they think. And Charles, would using the connect button collect the person's email as well? Only in the pro version. In the pro version, we've actually added a few more WYSIWYG things. That does actually include opt-in forms, but the connect button isn't going to collect their email. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Pulse Notify. Some of you might already be customers of Pulse Notify, but we've got a plugin that is unique, that uses the Facebook Connect button to send people notifications to their Facebook wall, and that collects emails. But Pulse Hover doesn't have the ability unless you're using the opt-in form. Pulse Notify doesn't hover yet, Charles. we're working on it. We've got obviously, well not obviously, it's not obvious to anybody of course, but we do actually have different developers working on different projects because we have quite a lot. So there's a couple of things in the works, and we have a fantastic developer who's been working like a rocket scientist on Pulse Notify, and literally has not stopped apart from a very brief family holiday working on all versions of Pulse Notify. And then another fabulous developer has been working on Pulse Hover, but he also has had to have a family holiday. Annoying, isn't it? But they're not all workaholics like us. And so we're going to be getting back onto a bit more of an even keel with everyone being in their positions, sitting by their keyboards 24 hours a day. No, of course we're not that mean. But we also got another developer who's working on a new project for the future, which is going to be something really fab. You do automatically get improvements or updates, Nikki, yes, because we love to make things better. Pulse Hover work with video. I know that we've actually got that on our spec as something we want the developer to add, but I know that there's quite a lot of things going on with Pulse Hover as it is. So yes, you know, there are pop-ups and things like that pop up over videos, so certainly there's a possibility of something being done, but it acts in a different kind of way to the way that those sorts of plugins work. It's all a bit tech for me, but yes, it's definitely on our list, and if it's something we can do, I promise you we will do it. Can we use Pulse Notify Connect button anywhere? Pulse Notify has a number of different versions, like all our plugins, and in the future, because the very nature of an early bird launch is that you want to offer your plugin at a really reasonable price. So whatever's unique and special about our plugin is what we sell to people on the front end. That's what they see. And then we have your very typical marketing funnel, where anyone who's interested in adding extra features can actually take an upgraded version and so on. Now, in the future, what will happen is we will have a completely new redesigned sales page, and the different versions will go on that page, but they'll all be a lot higher price than what they're currently selling for, which is what we said from the get-go. So what you'll see in the future is that the different types of plugin for Pulse Hover or for Pulse Notify are priced very differently, but they do have, obviously, as you go up the ladder, more and more features you can actually invest in there. And Stanley, yes, that's a very good question. Is there any reason not to use Pulse Hover on a thank you page to direct them to an additional OTO? You certainly can do that. You certainly can do that. And if you put Pulse Hover on an image and that image is downloaded and used on someone else's site, will Hover work? No, unfortunately you won't be able to do that, because it does need the plugin itself and all its code, and believe me, I've had a good old rummage in the code, which you can do too if you download it and then actually unzip the file, which on my Mac for some reason it does it automatically these days. I have to keep re-zipping everything up again. But if you check all the different boxes, I wouldn't necessarily try typing anything or get a copy of it and just in the copy have a good old rummage around. You'll see just how many different elements there are that are required to actually have a WordPress plugin work, because it has to be designed to work with WordPress itself. It then has to be designed to work with websites, with browsers rather. The HTML code is the code that actually speaks to the browser and tells the browser what it's supposed to see. And then you've got CSS, and the CSS is all the pretty stuff, the styling and the font and all the colours and all the rest of it. And then PHP is another bit of code. There's all sorts of different code things going on in there. So in order to make it do all of the things that it does, all of that has to knit together, and it has to be on the WordPress website. But the developer has actually, in the Pro version, created a standalone code, but it's only really for, there's other things in the Pro version that I use, but I don't necessarily use the standalone code because that requires some knowledge of PHP and a bit of other technical stuff. But anyone who already does work on sites that they build themselves that they don't use WordPress for will already know exactly what that is. So I think, yes, I think I've answered all your questions so far. Anything else? No, Charles, you can use Pulse Notify. Yes, because I didn't answer that question, I've just realised. Let me come back to the question. The front end version is just for the widget. You just put that into the sidebar widget, and obviously, you can put that anywhere in any widget on the site, but it can't be used on the pages. The Pro version you can use anywhere on the site, and you can also then add the standalone code to a site that isn't a WordPress site, but you have to manage notifications from a WordPress installation. Otherwise we'd have to build a software as a service, recurring monthly, very expensive, blah blah blah, in order to host it all for everyone. So that's the only way, is you host it yourself on your WordPress websites, but you can actually use that elsewhere. You're okay there, Nikki. You missed the beginning. Glad you're recording. Great information. Like the presentation manner, especially at 4 AM. My goodness, Nikki, you can have a medal. Staying up that late. And I will email everyone with a link to the page that's going to host the recording. And yes, Pulse Notify does do that. Collects it from from Facebook. Stanley, yes, I'm gonna email it to you, because what I'll do is I'll put it on the Marketing Gene website, and so I'll email you the page for that. Time for another glass of vino. I totally agree. I've got a little bit of rosé in the fridge. Will you be doing more marketing trainings? Oh, absolutely, love them. Can't wait. And maybe we'll ever go at these hangouts as well. Giovanna would have been here this evening. As I say, it was a very last minute thing that's happening, and it is absolutely lovely. Her dad is now going to see his brother, knowing that he's actually free of cancer, whereas only a week ago that was a completely different diagnosis and a totally different story. So yes, I'm really happy that she's because she wasn't going to go. She wanted to be with all of you. And I said, I'm sure everyone will understand this is quite an important event and not the usual, what day is it today? Monday evening. So yes, we definitely will. And actually, if you've got any particular requests for anything you'd like us to target and focus on in a webinar or a hangout, then just let us know. No, Pulse Notify doesn't post any comments in Facebook. It sends as soon as the person's connected, which is the same with every Facebook app, every single Facebook app, whatever it is now, whether it's a game, whether it's somebody just giving you access to some content on their website, whether it's a Facebook inside Facebook itself app that does something else. They are all only ever connecting you to whatever that particular app is designed to do. And in our case, our app is designed to then, once connected, enable the user, so that's you, to send your subscribers, so whoever subscribes through that button, a notification. So notifications are what you see appear up in the, I think it's on the right hand side of Facebook, and the little red icon lets you know when you've got notifications. And our plugin enables you to add a link to anywhere, absolutely anywhere. So once you've created a positive relationship with your customers and your prospects through, the notifications and whatever links you're sending them, then obviously you develop that loyalty and that trust, and then you can even send them affiliate links. I wouldn't start doing that though, but we'll be doing another webinar on that very soon, actually, because we've got this amazing new stuff going into that is going to blow everybody's minds away. Very exciting. So yeah, we'll do a proper full-blown webinar about everything that Pulse Notify does, including all the new exciting features. Very soon, in fact, I think, hopefully within this week, maybe even. But, like I say, anything you want us to chat about, anything in marketing psychology being my very favourite subject in the whole wide world. And yeah, anything, social media, customer loyalty, how to research niches, how to choose a niche to build a site in, you know, what to look for when you're looking for something profitable, whatever it might be. A view Bix link. So I need to get PN sign up. PN sign up be fired up on just a link, so you can put in. I have to look at that. You could teach us how to pre-sell. Indeed, Bill. Pre-selling is, yeah, pre-selling is just selling. It's like when you start pre-selling, Bill, what you're doing is you're literally talking about some of the things that there's problems. Very often you're going to start talking about problems, and you're most likely, if you're doing it right, you'll offer some solutions. And actually, one of the biggest marketers, Eben Pagan, very, very successful guy, very nice guy, really ethical actually. I think he gives away roughly 65% of his content for free before he sells you his product. So you've already got most of it, but because it's such good value and he's so good at selling it, his pre-sale guarantees enormous sales all the time. Obviously that's only going to work in certain niches. Okay, let me answer that question. Oh, lost my screen. Right. So anyway, Bill, yeah, we could have more talks about pre-selling with more specific niche. People give me a niche, throw a niche at me, and I can talk more in depth about it then. Nikki says, I think a marketing discussion from your experience of psychology would be fantastic. Thank you very much, Nikki. That would be great. Cliff, do you put video into any of your Pulse hovers? Not yet. That's one of the things we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's on our list, but as discussed with our developer, it's not an easy thing for us to do having already built Pulse Hover, because it's really quite a lot of stuff going on, knitting in together with WordPress. But believe me, we'll keep poking because we want it to do as much as possible as well. And Erica, you said, how will it slow down the loading of your site? Well, it shouldn't. And we obviously, different hosting, as I think I've had just about every kind of hosting on the planet, can make a huge difference to everything on your site, your site's speed. And when you have been through quite a lot of the lower end startup hosts, because they are brilliant when you're starting out and you don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money, but once you actually start to earn any money, it's a great thing to then start reinvesting your capital back into, because your hosting makes your life so much easier. If you've got a decent host, your speed and everything on your site's going to work so much easier. But there is actually a free plugin. It's called, I think it's from the top of my head, it's P3 Profiler. If you're in the Facebook group, nag me about it tomorrow and I'll give you the link. As I say, it's completely free, and what you do is you load that onto your site and then just run it, and it will basically tell you what plugins on your site are slowing your site down. And sometimes that's to do with how different plugins react to each other. So for example, if I don't know, W3 Total Cache, caching plugin, which is the best one, and I use that more than anything else. SEO cache is also very good. Then I would, you might see that plugin slowing down your site on one site, and then on a totally different site with a completely different set of plugins it might not. So sometimes it's the way plugins interact with each other. Sometimes, more often than not, it's actually the hosting. But that is one way you can actually test, and we do test all our plugins to make sure they don't do anything mean like that. Stanley, do you have any content that you've developed on email list nurturing? Well, I have actually got a product that I've got to rejiggle called Marketer's Writing Chest, and that was all about psychology, writing and psychology. So whether it was writing a sales page, writing an email, writing a book, writing a PDF, whatever, it actually covers everything psychologically in marketing. So yeah, that will be reborn soon. And give away your knowledge, sell your expertise. Yes, indeed. So what about HostGator? Yeah, I don't like them much. They crashed everything, didn't they? Was it HostGator crashed terribly the last few days? It's been dreadful. I know it wasn't their fault necessarily. I think they were under attack again. I wouldn't rush to get a HostGator hosting, but I've had Bluehost, HostGator, HostMonster, Servint. I've had several others that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were dreadful. One was the best hosting I've ever had that was really reasonably priced, highly recommended by a senior marketer, and then the guy who built that company up promptly sold it to somebody who had no clue what they were doing, and that within minutes all 16 sites that I had that were good authority sites got hacked. It was awful. Right, can we put your opt-in box in PulseHover? Say we have a template from lead pages, can we use that instead of yours? Can you put your own opt-in? I believe, I don't know why I've got to think about this now, but I believe that you can use your own graphics in the same way as you can on the front end product, you can in the Pro product. What's that? Don't compete with Lead Player or Viewbix. Do what they can't do and extend them by adding FB notifications as the call to action. Can you email that to me? Oh, I tell you what, Joanna's got something special coming out you're going to love. Okay, opt-in box, PulseHover. How do I find the Facebook group? Erica. I need to email it to you. Yes, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do an email tomorrow. Let me write it down. I'll write it down. I'm going to send a link to Alexa, and I'm going to send the FB link, and I'm going to send, yes, someone else has agreed, that FP Profiler Performance, FP3 Plugin Performance Profiler. Yes, that's the one. Thank you. Let me see if I can copy. No, it doesn't want to let me. Does it want to let me? Right, I'm going to add that to my list of things to send you. Would it be possible to have a list of your preferred plugins, hosting platforms, in other words, your experience? Yeah, let me write that one down as well. Preferred. We've actually got one of those articles ready to go very soon. Preferred plugins. What we were actually doing was working on, you know, our favourite SEO plugins, our favourite, you know, standard sort of plugins, things that you want to speed up your site speed plugins, security. Oh my God, that's another one. Please secure your websites. HostGator and Bluehost both crashed. Yes. They did. Do you know, I had 3 out of 5 affiliate friends, JV partners, you know, other product creators, so that's only 3 out of 5 that I happened to be talking to at that particular moment in time, whose entire sales were down, crashed. Couldn't get on their JV page if you wanted to, couldn't get on their sales page, nothing. Hosting platforms. My favourite host at the moment is Storm On Demand, which is part of Liquid Web, but they are expensive. It's as much a month for them as it used to be for me for a year of shared hosting. So I think Bluehost, HostGator and HostMonster are the best shared hosts out there, and you don't want to spend any more money on anything until you've got money coming in. So I wouldn't rush to leave any of them right now. Bill's saying he uses Host, H-O-S-T-E-K. No, I don't know anything about them, so I can't comment. Yeah, non-techie. because I tell you what, Margaret, it took me a long time to learn how to use WHM, which is Web Host Manager, from which you can create your own accounts and build your own cPanels. But once you get familiar with cPanel, then a lot of other things that you do are going to become a lot better. And yes, I am on Liquid Web and I like Liquid Web a lot. And Erica, you just sent me a message. Thank you, Erica. I will reply. PulseHover Pro works with Optimized Press. Yeah, fine. We haven't seen any problems with it, so do let me know if you. I hope you won't find any. Bill, yes, it is recorded. The entire thing is recorded, and I shall send you a link tomorrow. Oh, best support I've ever had. Thank you very much, Bill. That's really kind of you. Okay, so Philip is saying that when you're with a shared host, you can go up a level, which is true. And a lot of my product creator friends do actually launch their products, which, you know, that's busy. If you've got a membership site that you're delivering your product from, and from within the membership site you're hosting all your tutorial videos and so on and so on, then what has to happen when you launch and you've got, you know, hopefully hundreds and hundreds of people all hitting your sales page, and then from your sales page they've got to go through the JV Zoo or, you know, Warrior Plus or whatever it is you're using system, and then once they've hit your membership site, what has to happen then is the membership plugin has to keep going to the database and calling on the database, and that's why a lot of launches end up, people don't get their login information, and it's because there's just so much happening all at the same time, and unless you've got very, very good hosting, it just can't cope with the loading. So what I recommend, if you're ever going to have a lot of activity on your site, is to use Amazon S3, which is, you know, hosting your images, and you can host HTML pages, you can host your website. But that's it's considered a bit more expensive, I believe, than what we're currently doing, which is using Storm on Demand. And what we do just before launch is we have to upsize our server, which means we lose it for about 15 minutes. And which is, you know, obviously you do that well in advance, then you don't have any problems. And then what we also do is we host as much as possible on Amazon, because then that just reduces the amount of effort your server has to do, because we have our sales pages hosted there, and we also host our sales pages in HTML, so we don't use WordPress anymore. Yeah, WordPress is brilliant, love it, but for a really busy period of activity, it can have its hiccups. However, I have done launches perfectly well on an optimized press site for both this would be a top tip if you're not okay with the whole, you know, HTML for sales pages and other HTML for downloads or whatever, then I do recommend that you would have your one side of things on one host and the other side on the other host. So what I used to do was I used to have my sales pages on one host, and then I'd have my membership site on another host. So for example, we've got Marketing Gene, so our JV pages will be Marketing Gene /subdomain. So whatever the name of the product is, we host our JV blogs, JV pages on our main server, and then the actual site itself that's going to be delivering, and ultimately the sales pages and everything else is going to be on a different one. So it's all about spreading the load, and I've talked to some very clever tech people over the years who do some amazingly weird things. But cloud hosting, using a CDN, content delivery network, like Max CDN is another way. You can actually feed all of the CSS through Max CDN off a WordPress website, and you can do that through something like WordPress. W3 Total Cache plugin actually has that functionality within it. Now that all sounds very complicated if you haven't got any idea what I'm talking about, and believe me, there was a long time where I didn't have any idea what I just said. if that makes sense. And you know, once you get to grips with things like that, then everything starts to get so much easier. But I think when you start out, it's a good idea not to take too many steps too fast. If you get to a point where you are going to be doing a launch and you are going to have a lot of traffic suddenly hitting your website for some reason, then initially I would recommend just having 2 separate hosts. Host as much on one as you can on the other, and then also get Amazon for all of your images and as many other bits and pieces as the word downloads and things like that. Anyway, I've kind of rambled off on a totally different tangent there, talking about hosting. But thank you very much, everybody. I've really enjoyed myself. So we will definitely be doing this again. And as I say, if you've got anything very specific you'd really like to talk about and have a particular webinar on or a hangout on, then just let me and Giovanna know. You can either do that through support or you can do it through the Facebook group. And yeah, we love to know. So, does Amazon host videos too? Indeed it does, Bill. Indeed it does. And I'll tell you what, as another recommended product is through Bill Zimmerman and John Socrates, and that is actually a tracking one. It hosts your videos, but it doesn't actually host your videos. It's more to track them. It tracks where people drop off, you know, how long they stay on the video, if they pause at all. I know YouTube does a lot of that sort of thing, but it's actually a really, really cool way of actually seeing all of that information, collecting all that data, and then hosting it somewhere else. So you can host it on Amazon and then run it through their software, which is browser based. I'm just trying to remember what it's called now, going on about how great it is. ZooPlayer. That's what it's called, ZooPlayer. Yeah, so if anybody wants to know more about that, then again, give me and Giovanna a shout, because Giovanna puts all our videos on there. My name is Leah Butler Smith, Bill, and that's perfectly fine. I was fiddling around at the beginning until someone rescued me with the drag the curved corner down so that I could actually see what the questions were. Put that player in the email tomorrow. Okay, I shall make a note of that too. ZooPlayer. Better go and get an affiliate link now, hadn't I? I'm kidding. No, I will. I shall make sure that I add that to the email. So I've got at the moment, we've got preferred plugins, which we're actually going to work on those blog posts, because as I say, we want to do separate ones for the security, because I have got a bunch of security plugins that I use to lock people out, to avoid all the spam, for you to actually be able to check your site and see if there's anything slightly suspicious on there and know what it is that suddenly becomes suspicious and know what to get rid of. There are some plugins that are highly recommended over and above any others, and they're all free. They're all completely free. I know there are some paid ones out there that are probably excellent, but we haven't actually researched them as yet. So we'll bear that in mind. But yeah, we'll work out preferred plugins through those blog posts we were doing. The Facebook link you want, and the link to Alexa and any other research. I'll go and check my marketer's writing test out and see what else I put in there for recommended ways to do your research on your avatars. And the ZooPlayer, I shall put that in there. Well, I'm going to thank you all very much for being such fabulous, what's the word? What are you all? You're lovely. A lovely audience. And most grateful to you for all your interaction and all your questions. I've really enjoyed myself. And I hope you all have a fabulous evening, or morning, or afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. It's now approaching 9 o'clock in the UK. Just starting to get a little bit dark. It's still incredibly warm, and it's stopped raining, which is good. So, you all enjoy the rest of whatever you have of today, and I'll be in touch with you all tomorrow. Thank you all so very much. Take care now. Oh, going to jump in the surf? Oh, God. Talk about torture. That's just showing off, Stanley. Go away. Right. Good evening to you all. Take care. Bye.